Big John here with my Remington 870. This is actually the very first gun that I ever bought myself with my own money. I had several guns before this, but when I turned 18, for some of you that have listened to my radio shows, you realize that there was a black hole in my shooting career, and that ended right around the time I started to turn 18. I realized, hey, I'm old enough to buy my own gun. So that was a really exciting thing when I realized that, even though I already had several. And I was thinking, for the first gun that I buy, it makes sense to buy a 12 gauge shotgun, because I actually didn't have one at the time. And I always liked the pump shotguns that was the wood and the steel, you know, basically like this look. I always liked those, like the Ithaca and the old Winchesters, and of course the older Remington 870s. And I always liked those. So I went to a gun show, and as soon as I walked in, I saw a table full of a bunch of guns, old shotguns and things. I was like, oh, I'll maybe find something over there. Walked over and bam, saw this gun. Right away, I was like, yep, that's the one I want. Asked the guy, how much is it? He said, $250. I said, no, it looks like two and a quarter to me. And he said, okay. And so I bought it for $225. And you know, this one will never leave me. You know, it's the first gun I ever bought. And it's definitely special for that reason. And also, I just really like it. I mean, I love these old shotguns like this. I mean, this looks just like all those old shotguns you see in the movies that the police have in their squad car. You know, it's got the wood grip here with the, I don't know what you call this, but the ribs or whatever. I've always liked that. I liked how that looked. And it's just a neat old standard shotgun. And I just love it. And you know, the Remington 870s, the release is right here on them, so you just squeeze that in and pull it down. You got the safety right here instead of the Mossberg where it's up top. But we want to get into a Mossberg versus 870 in this video. Just wanted to show you my first gun that I ever bought and take a few shots with it. So maybe go ahead and shoot it first. And I might tell you some stuff about it. This holds 4 rounds. It's not like all the new fitted magazine shotguns. But as much as I like this gun, there are a couple of things I wanted to point out that I don't like about it, which don't really matter because I would never sell it, but still it does have a couple of negatives like all guns. As much as I love how this looks, it's very slick. So if your hands are sweaty at all, I mean, it's so easy for them just to slide right off of it, and makes it easy to short shuck. So that's definitely a problem. But I would never use this as a defensive gun, so to me it's really not an issue. But if you were going to, something to keep in mind, you don't want a grip that's too, a slide that's too slick, basically. And another problem with this gun is, I don't know if this gun was originally designed for a left-handed person or what, but this is, I guess, slightly raised right here to the point where if I have my face too far down on it, it pops me right here really hard. And I figured that out the hard way when I first got it. But that's something you have to be careful of, especially if you're shooting really hot ammo. I mean, it hurts really bad. So that's something to be aware of. I don't know, like I said, if it was designed for a left-handed person or if that's just how all of these are. But that was something I discovered. But if you're aware of it, just kind of make sure that if I'm down on it like this and I shoot a slug, I'm going to be in pain for a while. I mean, that hurts. But even if I'm shooting slugs, I just kind of almost hover over the stock a little bit, and I can still shoot it just as well. But so that's a couple of negatives about it. But like I said, it's a sentimental gun, so it's not really something that I'm too worried about. Take a few more. Another thing people like to talk about is pump shotgun versus semi-automatic. And honestly, I don't really have an opinion on which one I think is better. But if you've never thought about that yourself, you should, because there's a lot to consider. With a pump shotgun, people will argue that they're more reliable, but you have the short shucking issue, which basically would be this. Well, I don't need shells to demonstrate it, but so you just fired a shot boom, and then you go to put the next one in, and because you're stressed or just not paying attention or just don't have a proper technique, you don't pull it back all the way, and then you go to pull it forward and you haven't picked up a round, so you get a click. So that can cause a problem. Or you might even fumble it and not pull it back all the way, and you might get a hang up, which I've seen hang ups in these things, these pump shotguns, that, I mean, really you got to sit down at a workbench to get it out. It's amazing how a shell can get lodged in a shotgun. So that's something to consider. But some people think that maybe a limiting factor is how fast that you can shoot it, and really I don't consider that a limiting factor of a pump shotgun. I think you can't shoot it as fast as you can a semi-automatic, but I think you can shoot it reasonably accurately as fast, as that makes any sense. If you have multiple targets that you're going between, you can't necessarily hit them faster with a semi-automatic. I mean, if you're a highly trained competition shooter, you know, maybe, but for just the average person, I don't think there's a lot of difference. Try to demonstrate it. I'm just going to shoot it at one target. I'm not going to go in between, but just show you that you can shoot a pump reasonably fast. Now I could have shot it faster if I had Dad's Benelli or something like that, but that's plenty fast for me. And then of course with a semi-automatic you have, of course, malfunctioning issues just like any semi-automatic. But you can shoot faster. So you have to kind of decide, do you trust yourself more or do you trust the gun more? It's kind of what it comes down to. But I don't really know. I like pumps. You know, I tend to like them just because they're less complicated. Also cheaper, that's another reason. But I'll probably have a semi-automatic 12 gauge at some point, but for now I like the pumps. Anyways, hope you enjoyed looking at this whole thing, and I'll talk to you guys later.